Coming up next on Channel 6 television, Grassy Roots with Dr. Jim Carey and Beth Overgaauw. A show which will guide you down paths to healthier living by simply adjusting your eating habits. Stay tuned to Channel 6 for Grassy Roots.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Grassy Roots here on Channel 6 television. I'm Beth Overgaauw here with Dr. Jim Carey, who is leading me down a path of healthier eating. Hello, Dr. Jim.
Hi, Miss Beth.
And we've had some interesting foods along the way. Mm-hmm. Things I never would have thought to eat.
Leading you down the path, eh?
I like to look at life as a journey, you know, you have all these different directions that you can go. And so this is a path of improving the things I put into my body.
Well, I like the creativity you've been doing in the kitchen. You're not afraid to try new things. It's like your crackers that you made. They came out a lot tastier than mine because you threw a few goodies in there, and they were still raw food.
Oh, some of the smoothies, you've missed the majority of the smoothies I've made because I've experimented significantly with the smoothies. I like smoothies for breakfast. I really think that was the perfect solution for my breakfast eating habits. And some weeks, like you say, you may not have what you're used to putting in your smoothie, so you try a little something different. And I did get into a section of the home study program that I think we're going to cover in another episode about food combining. I thought, you know, Jim mentions every now and then something about some foods aren't really meant to be combined. You know, maybe I'll look at that chapter. And so...
All in due time.
All in due time.
Right,
but
right now, one green smoothie a day.
Yeah.
If you're just doing one green smoothie a day, that will change your life.
It does.
And to start getting into raw munchies rather than the store-bought MSG, grease and oil and all of that, that's another great step. So that's what I'm trying to do for you and for everybody, actually, is to take you gently into this new experience and this new life. And over time, your taste buds will change. The transition will be so smooth, you look back one day, this is what happened to me. I said, oh, I'm not 100%. I said, I still enjoy a steak. And somebody says, when was the last time you had steak? And I go, a little over a year ago. So I never felt like I had given something up. I never felt like, oh, I'm never going to have another baked potato again. No, I'm just not going to have them very often until you reach the point that you realize that, oh, I haven't done that in 2 years. And it's gentle, it's easy, and throughout all of that, you're like, oh, I feel so much better. And that's the bottom line.
But you know, there are people that are comfort food eaters. They have gotten into bad habits because they turn to food when they're stressed out. You know, or they're anxious or nervous or bored or depressed. You know, there's so many reasons they eat junk food and put on the pounds and have the bad dietary health issues as a result. Does the Ann Wigmore program kind of deal with the psychological aspects of changing your lifestyle?
Well, you hit two subjects there, Beth, and let's talk about stress today. But you mentioned comfort foods and comfort eating. The bottom line here is, do you eat to live or do you live to eat? Okay, and for those that live to eat, that's where a combination of education and the transitional diet, that's why we have all these gourmet raw meals. As somebody that eats to live, that's why I live so much simpler, and that's why I've been enjoying coming by the studio and saying, oh, what have they made this week? And I think you've almost pushed the cooking show out of the kitchen, and the raw show has taken over out there. Stress. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we had the example with the piece of string that I twisted up until it started to fray, and I was talking about that being the DNA of your body. Stress does that to your body, okay? Now that can be stress through work, That can be stress through environment. If you're stressing your body if you're exposed to a lot of pollutants. But when we start eating raw living foods, it's the quickest and easiest way to reduce the stress on our bodies, because it softens up the work on all the internal organs. It makes our bodies more alkaline instead of acidic, and the alkalinity alone will de-stress your life. So that's probably part of what you're feeling when you say, I feel so much better. Now you see, I propose, I really encourage people to analyze all the stress in your life. I mean, I came from that background of 4 computer companies on 2 continents, and I lived in stress. And every time I turned around, I had to run over to Europe because I had a problem over there or back. And I thought I was thriving on stress, but
yeah, people think they're stress junkies or whatever.
Yeah,
it keeps them going. And
yeah, and yet that's what was destroying me. Since that time, and then you reach that point, you just look at it and you say, when is there going to be enough money? When am I going to stop doing this? And that's like, really, that's the day you stop. That's the day you say, I'm putting everything up for sale. And that's what happened to me. That was a decade ago. Now I just totally urge people to look at your whole lifestyle. Do you really need that new car every couple of years? And for some people, the new car is the right investment because of the amount they drive, the reliability issues. But for me on the farm, yes, I have the new Prius, but for the amount I drive, the money I save on gasoline makes the car payment. But when I went to trade in the Blazer and get a Suburban for my 4-wheel drive, I realized that I could spend $300 on the Blazer and it's just fine. It's paid for. Yeah. There's no payment there. Yeah. I'm blessed that I'm in a position that there's no mortgage on the farm. That takes a lot of stress off of me. But when I look at my friends in their $500,000 homes and both working a job and a half to make those payments, I'm like,
there's a lot of stress.
Do you really need that much space? Do you really need that big of a house? I mean, especially if you've got good equity in a big house like that, you can do the same as me. Yeah. I mean, because the farm, when I bought that farm in Georgia, it was cheap compared to Key West prices, which is where I live. If you could sell that house and use that to buy something for cash or almost cash, how much stress does that take out of your life if you don't have that mortgage payment? And it goes right down into our consumerism. Every time I pick up something at the Walmart or any store, something catches my eye and I pick it up. The question I ask myself now is, do I need that or do I want it? Because if you just want it, you tend to be trying to find fulfillment through material things. And many times, the good feeling of buying that thing goes away by the time we get it home. Before we even get it in the house, we've lost that good feeling. The other criteria was, or the other question I asked myself is, if you buy this, what are you going to give away to make space for it? Otherwise, the house becomes full and cluttered. And funny enough, that cluttered lifestyle causes stress. Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that one.
Yeah, you've been over to my office and you've commented on the fact that
sure is sparse here.
It's sparse and everything's got its own little place. I blame it on being an engineer, but it was really from a book I read about de-stressing your life. And by just sort of like picking up as I go all day long, I don't have to clean the house thing because it's pretty much picked up all the time. And I admit, I guess somebody come in once a month to get, to do the mopping and all of that. I'm not much of a cleaner. But by keeping it neat, it's really not that bad. And once a month for a housekeeper, $30, $40
it's worth it to you.
In that area, it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
So those are my, those are my personal choice. But each of those things, well, actually the housekeeper de-stresses my life because I'm not a big one to make that time to do the housework. For other people, it's their exercise. Right. My exercise is usually out walking and hiking. But, and that's a good stress reliever too, exercise. And you saw what I did in the office because it was so cold in this Louisville winter, and I got trapped here for the winter, I bought a treadmill at the consignment store, $25. I had no idea those things cost $500, but it was $25, and I had to fuss with it a little bit to get it working. And but that hour or so a day on the treadmill generates endorphins in the brain. They make you feel good. And I think we mentioned this in a previous episode. 20 minutes of exercise a day that gets your heartbeat up to 100, as long as you're in shape to do that. I mean, talk to your doctor first if you need to, but get your pulse up to 100 for 20 minutes a day, and has the same benefits on the body of any of these depression medications on the market.
Yeah.
That was a study that came out last summer in Finland. So, just like last show, scientific evidence. It's out there, you just have to dig around.
Yeah. Well, the exercise thing, you know, my father said the same thing. I walk up and down my office all day long. You know, that he got enough exercise. I walk the hospital halls all day long. You know, he thought
Beth's father was an MD.
But yeah. I never saw him run, you know, so I do kind of wonder whether his heart rate really ever got up too high. And
walking,
too many of us think that's enough.
Walking, to really get your pulse rate up, and that's what's neat about the treadmill I bought. It's got all the little electronics. You need to get up to about 3 miles an hour. And 3 miles an hour is really cooking along.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, in those years as director of Creative Health Institute, I had people coming in that were 100 pounds and more overweight. I don't doubt they had their pulse up to 100, even though they were doing something like 1.5 miles an hour.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Because they were so
working
heavy.
harder to
and so much out of it. And the bottom line is this. Even if you're walking a half a mile an hour, if that's all you can do, you're going to have to start doing that to get up any higher.
Yeah.
Okay. And that goes back to, and we'll talk about this in the coming weeks, a journal to chart your progress. And don't go looking back for every week, but at the end of 3 months, go back and look at the progress you've made, where you did your mile in an hour and a half. That'd really be something. But you walked your 1 mile in 30 minutes, let's say. And 3 months later, you find yourself walking 2 miles in 45 minutes. Well, that's an increase in distance and speed. That's great progress.
Well, you think of China, from the China study that we looked at last week. That's another difference in their culture. They walk and ride bikes everywhere, daily. You know, the adults do. You don't see adults in America riding their bike to work. Very often. Some cities, maybe somewhere. And
it's funny because we also mentioned last week about about farmers, where 85% or 95% of the population used to live on the farm, and now 100 years later, 95% live in the city. What did you do a lot of when you lived on a farm?
You walked, rode horses maybe.
You got a lot of exercise. You were getting fresh air and exercise, and that's what we've given up too. So many times, exercise is walking from the front door to the car, and from the car to the elevator at the office. Take the stairway. Well, if you're on the 50th floor, maybe you want to, but you know, you can still take the stairway for 5 or 10 flights. There's a lot of opportunities to get exercise if we just look at it, and if we change our schedule. And the funny thing is, when we get the exercise, we sleep better at night, we tend to get to bed earlier, we get up feeling more refreshed, and we're more in mood to do exercise. So it's self-fulfilling over time. And again, it's reducing stress, and reducing stress heals the body.
And if you can find a companion to do these exercises with you, that's even better. I've always found anytime I tried to get into an exercise regime, if I had a buddy going with me, my daughter went with me for 1 year before she went off to college. We did pretty good about going to the gym that year.
Yeah.
It always helps to find someone to go with you if you're going to do
the
this.
Same thing about going raw. It makes it much easier if you find a raw buddy. There's a new raw food group starting up in Louisville, and if people check Meetup, meetup.com, you'll find this new raw group that's starting in Louisville. And that's a good place to find support and companionship and commiseration and trade recipes, but mostly it's really neat. I'm heading up to Creative Health Institute right after we leave here, and I'm going to go up there for a couple weeks and get back on my raw path, so to speak. But it's really neat to be around other raw people. You keep each other inspired. And it's the same thing with your exercise. Find an exercise buddy, find a raw buddy.
You know, you've heard of teenagers in particular with eating disorders, the bulimia, the anorexia, and that crossed my mind because I've been so focused on learning about the raw foods, but at the same time I don't feel obsessed about it. You know, like a teenage bulimic might, where they're sneaking and running.
Well,
I don't feel guilty when
it's stress again, though, because they're stressed over their appearance. Okay, all stress is self-imposed, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stressful to you because you make it stressful. If you, and some of it's cultural. When people complain at us, we take it personally, and that stresses us. Whereas if we just say, well, you know, I really don't care what she says, so I forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you've commented on how nothing seems to bother me. That's just because I don't let it bother me. It is what it is, and I fix what I can fix, and I live with the rest. And oh, that probably came out of a 12-step program, but we're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. 12 steps for raw fooders.
Oh, okay.
But stress and the bulimia, the eating disorders, we're allowing something to bother us. We're stressing over our appearance, about being thin. Solution for being thin is to eat differently. Don't gorge yourself on steak potatoes and barf it up. Let's learn a different eating habit, a different eating pattern. I watch these young women at Creative Health Institute in their 20s especially, and they show up looking nice. And they come for the summer and work in the garden, outside, fresh air, exercise, and good whole raw living foods diet. They come looking nice, they leave looking gorgeous. It's just incredible, you know, they live like supermodels. But at that age, it's so easy for the body to heal itself, that in a few months, they do a transformation that people our age might take
a little longer.
Yeah, it might take a year or two, to do the same transformation.
Yeah.
But you take it one day at a time.
You do. You do. And we're part of the new generation in a way that's learning about all this and helping to get the word out to others. And that's exciting. Yeah.
And that's really, you know, for me, it's a lot of my motivation to be raw and to stay raw is sharing it with others because it keeps me inspired. So obviously I suggest that for everybody. We don't justify our lifestyle to anybody. We just don't discuss it because it leads to having to justify yourself. But at the same time, if you can find a friend or two that would go this journey with you, you'll find that you'll reinforce each other. That makes it easier, it makes it more fun. Oh, that's another way of reducing stress.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to take a break here and go to the kitchen.
I got a surprise for you today.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Beth.
Bye-bye.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors. Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at chidietvideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's raw living food lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out chidietvideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Superstars, large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating all the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Now, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
Well, Jim, it's always fun to come in the kitchen with you. I never know what we're going to do.
Oh, you heard my reputation.
So what are we going to do?
Salad day. Now, I promised you a surprise, right?
I've always thought vegans and vegetarians were just salutarians anyway, until I started talking to you.
Salutarians? This is a very funny day.
All right. So we're going to make a salad.
Yes, we're going to make a salad, but everything you think you know about salads is going to change.
Well, I know quite a bit about salads. You know, you're challenging my knowledge on salads.
Right, I know. And you raise all these kids.
Lettuce and tomato.
What kind of lettuce do you use?
I know what I've learned since I've been talking to you, but I'll tell you what I pre-thought that. Iceberg, you know, it's so easy and it's,
right.
That's what the
So there's surprise number one.
Yeah.
No iceberg lettuce.
And why?
Because iceberg lettuce, first off, there's very little nutrition in it. It's good for fiber and roughage, but it concentrates selenium out of the soil. Selenium's a heavy metal. Okay. It's not good for us.
More than any other lettuce, it concentrates
It's like the only one that does that.
Oh.
Okay, so all your other lettuces are fine, but not iceberg. How about that?
That is odd.
Number two, spinach.
Now, spinach, Popeye ate spinach.
Right, well.
And it builds strong bones. You get iron.
Popeye ate spinach as an FDA deal between the FDA and the Popeye cartoon people. He was paid to eat spinach.
Popeye was paid to eat spinach?
Because the government wanted to encourage the use of canned foods, in particular canned spinach. So Popeye, the early Popeye cartoons did not, my head is full of this trivia. Popeye ate spinach because he was paid to. Spinach blocks the absorption of zinc, especially for males.
Really?
Okay, and when your body can't absorb zinc, it causes prostate problems. So, no iceberg lettuce, no spinach. So much for those sandwich stops when you go to the sandwich shop and you think you're getting a vegetarian sandwich. Well, the only 2 leafy greens I have are iceberg lettuce and spinach.
Well, I'll put tomatoes on it then.
Tomatoes are citrus. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that makes them a fruit, technically. No?
It makes them a citrus.
Oh.
But the point is that tomatoes cause inflammation for most people. And 80% of the people, tomatoes cause internal inflammation. So Dr. Ann's recommendation was no tomatoes for women and only sparingly for men. So now the whole salad's gone, right? No iceberg lettuce, no tomatoes, no spinach. What are we going to put in it?
I don't know.
Well, we're going to have a great salad
put
anyhow.
Okay.
First off, romaine lettuce. Okay. And you did a good job. I saw everything out here is organic. Okay.
Oh, well, maybe we shouldn't point out the brand, but yeah.
So these romaine hearts are great. And that's always a great foundation. We have one little black piece here. I don't eat that kind of parts.
Okay.
These are real nice and fresh. So you start with, I sort of do my layers so I don't have to toss it.
Okay.
I also tend to use a much larger bowl than this.
For bigger people. More people.
Right. After that, it's like all these other healthy things we're putting in our green smoothies. Like I love sprouts in my salad. Okay. So a few sprouts. And again, we can layer this as we fill the bowl.
I love sprouts. I've learned to love sprouts.
You always, I know you told me it was parsley.
Mm-hmm.
I always check because of cilantro. You really put the salad over the top.
Yeah.
Cilantro's a good one in salads, but you only use a few pieces. Sparingly, right?
Yeah, it's strong.
Just like dandelion greens. There's a lot of neat stuff you can pick out in the woods or
in your yard or whatever.
If you have a backyard like mine, you pick it in the backyard.
Yeah.
Things like dandelion greens. Now again, they're strong, you don't use much of them. But wild dandelion greens from the backyard, they're going to be organic, they're going to be healthy. A few dandelion greens, lamb's quarter.
I wouldn't even know what that looks like.
Well, it's a leafy plant. I mean, there's plant identification books. And it'd be neat if we can do a show about that, wild edibles. But there's a lot of weeds, burdock, a lot of weeds that are great for salads. And a few here, a few there, and you fill the bowl and get the dietary variety. So we got the cucumbers are great, and I like mine peeled, but we're not going to take the time here on the show.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with the skins.
We have washed them all.
Right. And there's lots of good nutrients in the skin. I say I like mine peeled. I sort of go back and forth with it.
You know, speaking of that parsley, when I was a little girl, I remember Mom taking me to some fancy restaurant. Maybe it wasn't that fancy, I don't remember, but to me as a little girl it seemed fancy. And they had the little parsley twig on the side of the plate to make it look pretty. Mm-hmm. And she said, you can eat that. And it seemed so foreign, but I tried it and didn't like it as a child, you know, because it is so strong.
It's funny, my mother says, oh, don't eat that, it's just for decoration.
Oh.
And I liked it. Well, probably because I wasn't supposed to eat it, right?
Yeah, maybe she should have said, don't eat that.
Carrots are always a great addition to the salad. Try to keep the fingertips out of the bowl.
Yeah, you don't want meat.
Yeah.
And that adds a little color, and of course keratin.
And so does blood, too.
Yeah, well, you don't want that. Like I said, we don't want meat. And scientific studies last week, we were talking about science and all, really have proven that carrots not only help eyesight, for real,
yeah,
but they change the color of your skin if you eat a lot of them.
Oh, yes. Yeah. If you, and I did that as a science experiment one fall at Creative Health Institute. The carrots came into season. They were so good. They were so fresh. And all I ate for 2 days was carrots. I got orange.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
it's so neat. I felt great, but I got orange.
It's a good way to get an internal tan.
Cauliflower is a flower.
Now it's getting really pretty.
Yeah, and we're getting colors in there. And understand, like with the tomatoes, while they're inflammatory for most people, you know, a lot of what we're doing here is what we call transition diet.
Right.
And the one thing about tomatoes, even at Dr. Ann's Institute, they had tomatoes at their fancy Sunday buffet.
Okay.
Because they do give food a nice color and spruce it up. So
and some juice.
Once in a while, and some juice. Once in a while, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Right.
Peppers are great. I prefer the red and golden peppers. I usually don't buy green, but I don't know why. Personal preference, but this came to hand, so we'll use it. Normally I do this over the sink and clean the stuff out really good.
Right.
But we'll just...
Seeds won't hurt you.
Seeds won't hurt you.
When we pre-washed them, we missed a label on the pepper on the tomato.
Yeah, you find the labels are chewy, but they don't hurt you.
They ought to be organic.
I found labels in my blender. You're drinking your smoothie, it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, I got a chunky.
It reminds me of when you had suckers as a child and there were paper sticks on them.
Now, radishes, garlic, and onion.
Okay.
None of them are really, see, that's good. I can't even get it open.
That's because?
That's because I'm not supposed to use it. Oops, I got it. Again, transitional foods. Radishes, onion, and you've got these wonderful green onions. I mean, they're great. I mean, they smell super. Here, smell it. And
Mm-hmm. It is good.
But you know, it goes back to what I say about stressing over your food.
Right.
Is if you're finding your diet dull or bland or unexciting, then you're not going to do it. And it's more important that you eat raw than how much of a Dr. Ann purist you are. So if you really like radishes or you want something to perk up a salad, a little bit of radish isn't a bad idea.
Keep them whole like that so people can pull them out if they don't like them.
Oh, and there's that too. Yeah, because these are, how strong are these? Sometimes radishes are really strong.
Oh, there's all kinds of flavors. Now, I know you cut that part off. Do you also peel the first? I've always thought you have to peel the first layer away. I don't know if that's true. It's just what I've always thought.
I never knew that one.
Okay.
That was as far as I went to throw away. As far as I'm concerned with green onions, everything goes in the pot. Versus paper is so hard. But no, I would use the whole thing. Matter of fact, yeah.
Okay.
That's actually, as strong as these are, that's enough onion.
Okay.
Understand that just for me, myself, this bowl would be heaped up.
Right. Now, that'd be
if I've been out working, I really work up an appetite.
So that's not even a one-person salad?
No, this is a television salad. Well, you see, you're thinking of the salad as a side dish for another meal, and if you're doing that, yes. When I was a kid, a bowl this size fed the whole family with a side dish. But I will make a salad like this, and that's it. That's my breakfast. That's my supper.
Or whatever.
My midday meal. That's my big meal.
Okay.
You want to eat your largest meal at the middle of the day, so you burn it off. But I'll have a big bowl of salad like this at night, and sometimes for breakfast. So usually breakfast is a smoothie, but sometimes you just want to chew on something.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors. Looking for a comprehensive guide on the subject of the raw foods lifestyle? Susan Shang has written an encyclopedia on the subject, The Live Food Factor. This comprehensive guide to the ultimate diet for body, mind, spirit, and planet covers every possible factor related to the subject. This compilation has received rave reviews by those in the raw foods movement. Visit www.livefoodfactor.com for your copy. The Live Food Factor by Susan Shang.
When truth rings, curiosity sings. Finding yourself raw curious? Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program has the answers. Check out SheDiet.com and satisfy your raw curiosity.
And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
Now, you did a great job with the organics. But I want to emphasize to people again the importance of buying local produce.
Oh, yeah.
It's not only the green aspect of it. I guess this comes apart this way. I like what you did, manager special, good price. That's the way to save money on the food bill. And this is all organic, and that's great.
That's good. That's what
and
he said.
these are great snacking things for the whole family, especially you leave this in the fridge for the kids.
And it's supposedly ready to go. You don't have to wash it because it's already in this little tray.
You take the ranch dressing, you throw that in the trash.
It says organic.
It's organic, but cat pea is organic.
Please.
It's all fat.
Oh.
It's all fat, okay? It's organic, but that doesn't mean that it's vegan even. Doesn't even mean it's vegetarian.
Okay.
All natural, no preservatives. Good start. But all these dressings, you know, you go into the fast food chain and you order the big salad, but then they give you 6 packages of dressing. Mm-hmm. These dressings, this one doesn't have the label, typically 200 calories per tablespoon. That's a level tablespoon. How much dressing did you used to put on a salad? Yeah, you know, you poured it on there, like 10 tablespoons, 2,000 calories of dressing on your healthy salad. So for the kids' sake, for your sake, you just toss that out, or you give it to the animals if the cats or dogs like it. Again, the thing about tomatoes. But snack trays like this are wonderful, especially when you pick them up on the special.
Uh-huh.
Now, what have we left out here?
Are we gonna...
I got most of the basics. I think what you're seeing, I think you're seeing that I totally, it's like everything in the kitchen is fair game. Now we get into spicing, basil leaves.
So you put the spices directly onto the salad.
Sure. A little bit of oregano.
And
that's super.
All dried at this point, although we already had some parsley and we had some fresh.
You know, fresh is great, but dried is the next best. Number one is really about making it palatable and eating it. Okay, if you make these really healthy dishes, but you got to hold your nose to get them down, you're not going to eat them, and then it's not going to help you any. It's got to be fun and exciting. So fun and interesting and tasty is more important than purity. Okay, so I raise these issues about iceberg lettuce, etc. But don't be a food Nazi over that, okay?
Wait, before you do that, what is that? Because that is the strangest looking thing I've ever seen.
This is dulse granules. Dulse is a kind of seaweed, and this is dried and powdered.
Where do you get that?
You get it at the health food store.
And it tastes...
A lot of supermarkets carry it nowadays. Okay. And it gives you, and it's your salt substitute. It has a bit of a salty taste.
Yeah, it does taste like the ocean.
But the neat thing is, it's high in iodine, too. And iodine is one of those trace minerals that are important to us. Oh, I started to talk about, I mentioned buying local.
Right.
Not only for the green aspect, but the other thing about buying local is in certain parts of the world, certain parts of the country, people tend to be vitamin deficient in that part of the country. In other words, people in Michigan tend to be deficient in iodine. But guess what? The soil in Michigan is high in iodine. So when you're eating your local produce, you tend to get the trace elements that you need for that area. That's why the closer it's grown to home, especially if you can do the 100-mile rule, it's grown within 100 miles, you're going to get the elements that you need without having to take supplements. So this is a big thing, really. But it's aside from the green aspects of fuel production, aside from the economic aspects of giving your money to American farmers versus foreign farmers, there is a health aspect of the things you're going to need in your diet are in the soil in your area. Now, one thing I like to do, and this is product of Chile, is an avocado. And this is a way to dress up a salad, because what did I say was in that salad dressing?
That one, the bad one? Because you haven't mentioned what's going in the good one. Sour cream.
This ranch dressing is animal fat.
Oh, that, yeah.
And it's the fat that makes it taste good.
Okay.
What's an avocado?
Plant fat.
Plant fat.
I guess.
Plant fat. And that's what it is. Avocado, the reason they're so rich and the reason you don't want to have more than really is recommended a half an avocado a day is because they're so high in fat. I've seen overweight vegans, okay? And the overweight vegans I know eat 6 and 8 avocados a day because they need the fat. So, segue over to the, I'm learning my way around the studio, aren't I? Now, what I like to do my avocado is just little chunks in the salad. So you get these little taste surprises. Ooh, I got one. Yeah. Ooh, I got one. Yeah. Ooh, I got one. By the way, I haven't had breakfast.
I know, it's starting to look awful good.
You're going to make your own, girl. This is my breakfast. Another real good dressing.
No, so this is our dressing now? We're doing our dressing?
Yeah, that's my fat. That's my taste good part. That's my part of my dressing. Another real good dressing is lemon. Okay, nice and healthy. Now it is a citrus. And citrus can cause inflammation. However, it goes back to, if it doesn't taste good, I'm not going to eat it. Now, I'm at the point that the salad is done for me. Okay, but my friends are coming over and they want something tastier, so a little bit of lemon juice. There we go.
So rather than make a dressing on the side and pour it over it, you actually dress the salad with spices, lemon juice,
right,
different textures.
And the reason, okay, I just want to mention this because I missed it. Actually, we'll throw this on top. Is I love these spring mixes, organic, triple wash. And like I said on another show, I often wash them myself. It's just a feeling. Sometimes I use them as is.
Wait, before you dump it all.
We have a few wilty
How many
ones
different types of things do you think's in this?
No, I recognize the dandelion.
That's a dandelion?
No.
Oh.
No, I recognize the dandelion.
Oh, okay.
You got one here.
Oh.
That's a dandelion.
Isn't that something? See,
Yeah.
now I didn't know that.
And let's see what it says here. Baby spring mix.
Now, see, that one looks different than that one.
Utilizes significantly less fossil fuel and resources. Biodegradable plastic. All it says is baby spring mix.
So you got to guess. That looks like spinach. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that goes back to don't make your salad out of spinach, but don't stress over a little bit of spinach in your wonderful spring mix.
Now there was one. There it is. I've seen this in these, and I've always wondered what that could be.
Oh shoot! Somebody told me once, and I don't remember.
Okay, well, it's good for you.
It's not arugula, is it? No.
I don't know.
I don't know. I forget what arugula is.
We'll look that up. Anybody knows? You let us know.
Now here's what you were talking about when you say about making your dressing and pouring it over. And yes, in my recipe book, a lot of dressings do that, but it's transitional. Oil clogs your pores. Okay, calluses on your feet. That's your body. That's your body processing out the oils. It tends to come out through the soles of your feet and causes calluses. Now this is great. Extra virgin olive oil. Okay, 100%. So first pressing. Okay, if you're going to buy, and it's organic. If you're going to buy oils, that's the only kind to buy is extra virgin organic olive oil. And again, it's what I call transition food. It's better that you consume no oil like this, but if you're going to, only this kind and then sparingly. So you could dribble this over your salad, or you could use it as a foundation to mix your herbs and all. But,
okay.
But even when in my first year of vegan, I used olive oil. Okay, another one is honey. That's a transitional food. Okay. And the debate's been going on for 50 years as to whether or not it's vegan. Okay, but it doesn't matter either way. It's a transitional food. I did away with the oil first in my diet because it made cleanup in the kitchen easier. And after a while, I found I didn't need the sweetening from honey.
Okay.
But even at that, again, you know, this is quickie food prep. I would just put my finger over this and dribble it over.
A few drops.
Yeah, dribble it over the salad. And there was my oil and vinegar salad dressing, but no vinegar. Lemon instead of vinegar.
Okay, yeah. So it's ready to eat now?
Yes,
Just like this?
that's it.
Everything on it?
Toss it up. And here you go. Oh,
yeah, we got forks.
I have forks. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have to eat with our fingers.
So we just dig in, get a
grab a piece of avocado.
Yeah, gotta go. Get some different colors in there on my fork. Ooh, that's a big bite. And then chew how many times?
At least 30 times. Nature will castigate those who don't masticate. Chew until it's liquid in your mouth. And don't talk with your mouth full.
Yeah, wow.
That's my chew you full.
That's why we have cheeks. That's good. You know what? I don't miss the dressing. I do not miss the dressing. The juices from all the lemon and...
If you look at the dressing, I worked in a restaurant when I was a kid. And we made dressing. And it starts out, it's mayonnaise. Or, you know, it's mayonnaise. It's basically a bunch of egg whites. And then we would mix in spices.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I remember we put pickle relish in and stuff like that. Oh, that was Thousand Island dressing. Pickle relish and tomato and tomato ketchup in mayonnaise. It's all fat. So why not just put the spices in and leave the mayonnaise, leave the oil out?
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll get down there and get a carrot.
It's all the secrets in the spices. Secrets in the spices.
Now, this is sort of a homemade recipe that we just came up with here, but there are other recipes, and I'm going to try a couple of them eventually from the cookbook that goes with the home study program.
I saw what you were doing over there.
Yeah,
I have some comments about that too.
I'm sure you will.
But it's a
know,
good transitional recipe that she's going to do. It is, yeah.
So stay tuned for more Grassy Roots. Be sure and watch us every week at 8 o'clock on Channel 6 television. And thank you for watching.
Aloha. Mahalo.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors. Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at ChiDietVideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's raw living food lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out ChiDietVideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Superstars, large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating on the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
No, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV. Next on Grassy Roots, organic gardening tips from Frank Colvan of Country Greenhouse to Garden.
Hi, this is Beth Overgaauw, and I'm here again with Frank Colvan out at the farm. You can hear the birds are chirping and the chickens are crowing and dogs and animals everywhere. I haven't heard any cows, but you got cows.
Yeah, there's some cows on the backside.
And good thing for that, because without the cows, he wouldn't have what we're about to talk about next, manure and composting.
That's right.
And Frank has some tips on that. Okay, now Frank, here we are at your homemade compost.
Right.
And you can buy these things. I've looked on the internet. I've looked around at some of the places. They're all different sizes for kitchens, for gardens, for your back porch, wherever. Some people do kitchen compost. Is this got kitchen compost in it?
No, this doesn't have kitchen compost. I don't use any kitchen compost at all. Everything I use is vegetation of some sort. Comes out of the yard on our grass clippings. Stuff out of the garden. Every time we pull something up out of the garden, it goes in the compost.
Now, how's this work?
This is more of a pressure thing. We do add a little manure to it along to help break it down. We just keep it full all summer long. We just keep adding to and adding to, and then as we need compost, as you can see here, we got the boards along the front, different. That's about 6 to 8 inches wide. We just take one out, raise it up, then you just take your shovel and go on the bottom.
And look how rich that looks.
You come out with good fresh compost.
Now, are there worms in that?
Yes, there'll be worms in it.
Worms help make that happen, don't they?
Right. And the further you go back in, getting toward the center of the compost pile, the better it gets. As you can see, there's a lot of, it'll get real black, and there's a lot of nutrients in it, especially for the garden and for the greenhouse.
And those cinder blocks, you can pull those out and actually take that board out.
Right, you can take the board out. I just take a board out the top and raise it up one.
Oh, so you can dig up under there.
So you can dig up under it. Just keep taking it out from the bottom, and that way your older stuff don't fall out. You just start at the bottom, raise it up a board, and take what you can out, and then jack it up another board, take another board out the top. That keeps them falling out. And just keep going under. As you can see, as you're talking about worms.
There's a worm.
There's a worm. They're just, but it makes good, it just makes good garden sense to have a place for your compost.
Now, does your little friend here help you?
Yeah, he's a new to the farm here.
What's his name?
And this is Shorty.
Okay, hi Shorty.
Yeah. And he was gave to us just a few weeks ago. Okay. And now here's some of the manure that comes out of the barn that we use in the.
That doesn't look like bad stuff to be messing with.
No, it's not. It ain't. This is probably 10, 15 years old.
Your hands in it.
Yeah, this is not bad. You can see that. See, this feels like a rock.
Okay. Yeah, it does.
And it's just dried. It's just dried out.
Manure.
Cow manure. And it's
full of nutrients.
Nutrients for the garden and for greenhouse, whatever you want to use it for. It's got a little hay in it that comes down from, and it's just a good dried out. Been in the barn here for years. I keep one side of the barn completely shut off from the cows. That's where I usually take the manure out of, and then on the other side,
they put you some new manure.
They put some new in, good fresh.
How nice of them.
Yes. And that's where you get your free fertilizer.
I see. Okay.
And but everybody needs a composter if you're going to garden or a greenhouse. Food with flowers. Mother always used compost around her flowers and stuff. It's just got good nutrients and everything to make stuff grow. You might say.
Well, thank you, Frank. I like this little mini lesson on composting.
And we'll for what little I know about it, all I know is it makes flowers grow.
Okay, well that's good.
But I hope you've learned something today.
I know I have. I'm going to build me a composter. I know that, or get something that'll do it.
Right.
All right.
Watch future episodes of Grassy Roots for more organic gardening tips with Frank Colvan. Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at ChiDietVideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's raw living food lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out ChiDietVideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Superstars, large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating all the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Now, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food.
When truth rings, curiosity sings. Finding yourself raw curious? Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program has the answers. Check out ChiDiet.com and satisfy your raw curiosity.
When it comes to obesity, it's not about how much you eat, it's what you eat. Learn more with Beth Overgaauw as she chats with Dr. Jim Carey on Grassy Roots TV, airing Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock on Channel 6 television. Getting back to the roots of healthy eating.